Hello, welcome to The Patch. This week brought to you by Trunk Club. Are you in the club?
Are you in the club, Gus? I think that's the real question.
You know I am.
Because you look like you're in the club.
In the Trunk Club. All right. Welcome to The Patch. I'm Gus.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Gus. Ryan, you didn't put what games you've been playing this week.
Yeah, we put it together
we put together a document to talk
Look at
we're
that
like, all this
stuff.
cool stuff that's
That is
happening. Here's what we've been
fancy.
playing. And you, sir.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
I guess Ryan's been playing
have
no
you been playing?
games.
I've been playing Quantum Break.
Hold on. Let me type. Quantum
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Break, okay.
Battleborn.
Battle.
Fabulous.
And some Far Cry Primal.
Far Cry
And The Division.
Primal.
That's not all you've been playing. I know, because I saw it yesterday. Y'all played Stardew Valley.
And we played Stardew Valley. Yeah, we
You're
did.
holding out on us.
We
Yeah.
streamed Stardew Valley.
You strammed Stardew Valley.
We strammed it.
Let's be very clear about it.
Strammed.
I was very happy that you guys did that. Although I was watching your stream and the whole time I was like, it's so new.
Oh, yeah, no, we're doing it so wrong.
Fresh and so new.
Well, it looks like just a rat's nest when you start. And that's actually, I almost want to play the game more specifically because the OCD in me is driven a little crazy by how much mess there is on the farm. I just want to go chop it all down.
Oh, that's how they get you.
That is how they get you. By the way, the good people of Stardew Valley,
Yeah.
thieving bastards.
Please elucidate me.
Oh, we threw a chest down at one point. This is a little spoiler for a Let's Play that's coming out. I think we mentioned it in the stream, though. We put a chest down, strammed. Well, we streamed a stram.
Oh, is that how that works?
It was a stram stream. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we just had too much crap, and we were like walking around. We were about to go into the mine, and threw a chest down just in the middle of the, like a clearing in front of Robin's house.
Okay.
Came back, chest was gone.
Yeah, do you know what?
Thieves.
I mean, you did it in front of somebody else's house. Like, I get the feeling now.
Thievery.
I've placed a couple of chests down in the wild, and I put one outside the mines because I had a couple incidents when I was first playing where I'd go in and I would take a few too many risks and I would die, and then
Right.
you lose a ton of shit. And so that either you rage quit and restart the day, which I wasn't smart enough to realize that I should be doing.
That you could reload.
Or, yeah, you just deal with it. So every time I go into the mines, I just clear out anything I have that is not absolutely necessary, and then go in that way. Also, because then you can fit more stuff.
That's what we learned, was because we didn't have a backpack, and we just had the one row of things, and I was like, I don't need a watering can down here.
Yeah, I'm up to like 3 rows of things, and I still feel like I could use more space.
I just realized that the thumbnail for last week's episode of The Patch has a division.
You like
symbol in
that?
it. I'd seen it before, but it just didn't click until right now.
Yeah, that was.
so-
I was like, we should. I was like, oh, division. Literal thumbnail, blackboard. Let's do it.
So people keep telling me I need to play Stardew Valley. I have done zero research into it. The listening to the conversation you two have had is the extent of my exposure to Stardew Valley.
Do we have like an HDMI out cable or anything? Because I feel like I can drop some cribs knowledge on people. Do we have that?
She's ready.
Anybody?
She's gonna drop
I'm
some
asking the
knowledge.
control room.
All right, Gus, if you liked,
No, I'm gonna say no.
Papers, Please.
You motherfuckers.
There's some elements of bureaucracy and management to this game that I think would probably appeal to you.
So it's grid based. I would want to say
showed a little bit of
isometric, but it's
gameplay,
not.
yeah.
It's like 3/4 down view
It's Zelda.
pixel art.
Okay.
It's grid based. If you're familiar with Animal Crossing, it's that sort of thing.
Very
where,
familiar.
Yes, where you can spend, like, you can decide what you want to do. You can go and you can dig stuff up. You can go fishing. You can go talk to everybody and design and decorate stuff. So there's a bunch of different options that you do. You inherit a farm. You move out to this valley. Leave your stupid stuffy corporate job, and go become a farmer.
By the way, time out on that. What was the deal with Grandpa? Like, I'm dying. Wait till your soul's almost dead, then go to this place.
Yeah, that was weird to me. It was very much a statement, like when you just like figure out that like city life blows, open this.
Yeah, it's like, well,
and then you open it, and you have no idea how many. It's like years later or something.
XX is what it says.
You finally
Oh,
open
yeah.
this envelope at your job
20.
when you're having a terrible day.
I assume
and he
Roman
goes,
noodle
by the way, I
soup,
gave you a
but I don't
farm.
know. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, my grandfather bequeathed me something, and I didn't bother to look till I had a really serious case of the Mondays.
Also, just gonna be honest, I didn't realize he died.
I assumed.
The opening animation says like go and let Grandpa rest now. I just assumed it was like a nice gift. And then I read later on,
It's like
a bunch of people
eternal
were like,
rest.
"Oh yeah, like after your grandpa dies," and I'm like, "He died."
I thought our first task
My
was going to be
grandpa didn't
shovel his
die.
ass out of the cabin. Because it looked like that's where he died.
Gross.
I was like, all right, we're going to face dead grandpa. You ready for that? No, it's an empty house. He even
No,
changed the sheets
look,
on the way out.
I'm sure he came and lived with me when before he died.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot
So
more sense.
you're basically a farmer
You're a farmer.
No, you're a corporate stool.
who becomes
No,
a farmer.
who
Who
becomes
becomes
a
a farmer?
You set yourself free.
Who becomes
And,
a slave? Who became a gladiator?
So-
who
It's
killed an emperor?
it's the kind of game.
Is there
where
any story, or is it just run a farm?
It's sort of like run a farm, but you can also you build friendships with the people in town, and then you
Sounds
can
awful.
eventually. I know, right?
Yeah, that part is pretty bad.
You can eventually set your sights on one fine lad or lass. Gives them a ton of presents. Everyone is very susceptible to bribes in Stardew Valley. It's Pelican Town, actually, but it's in Stardew Valley, I guess. And you can get married and have kids. I haven't quite got that far. I got a couple honeys on the line.
Yeah, who you got your eye on?
So I've been romancing with the computer nerd because he's kind of
don't
like
think I've met
kind of
him
my
yet.
style. He's got like black hair that goes like whoosh.
Wait,
and
the
he's
emo
like a rebel.
kid.
Yeah.
Sebastian?
Yeah, that's the one. You turn up to his house one time after you get to be good enough friends, and they're playing like a tabletop RPG, and they invite you to join. And I was like, yeah. But then he also gets a little emo for my taste, so I
According-
might go for the guy who's like a singer and a skater,
According to
be
Yumi
a
Ferrari on Twitter, using hashtag the patch, that person
which you should be doing as well.
That person
everybody.
says that there was a marriage update today for
Ooh.
Stardew Valley.
Yes. So they're the nice thing about the developer who made this, Concerned Ape.
One of my favorite patch notes of all time.
Okay.
Spouses now leave the house on Mondays. It's like were you married to Garfield? Like, I'm not dealing with this. I hate Mondays.
Well, there's
Yeah.
really nowhere to go, so.
Well, they can go to town. They can go to the market. All kinds of
Go
options.
fish. They can go work in the mine.
Once you do enough in the mines, so have you come across the community center yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you come in and it's this crappy community center.
Really
it's all torn apart and
dilapidated.
abandoned. But you get a bunch of challenges that help to restore the community center. So it's kind of an achievement system that's not really. It's very gamified where, for example, there will be a certain theme. So there's a fish tank that you can restore by getting these various bundles of fish. So there'll be like a river fish bundle, and you're encouraged to catch these 4 specific fish for this bundle. There's an ocean fish, night fish, etc. And once you fill all these bundles, then the fish tank is restored. And
Okay.
so you, piece by piece, can restore the various parts of the community center. And I'm very close. I'm one fucking rabbit's foot away from the entire community center being restored. I have a rabbit. He's in my little hutch, my
You're just
coop,
waiting for him to-
hanging out. And I'm like, every day I go check it. I'm like, can you drop a foot yet, bro?
Was he just drop feet?
Apparently.
Are they like lizards?
That may be. I mean, these are special rabbits. When they love you, they drop feet.
Ashley, I'm just going to put it out there.
Just
He's got
chop one
4
off.
legs right now.
I have absolutely thought of that. Like you don't need all 4 feet, do you?
I
Do
bet
you,
you
little
can-
buddy? Like if only there was a certain tool,
He'd hop around in a perfect little circle. You just take one of those off.
I could get 2 feet and he could do a
Yeah,
circle.
could you do them like offset?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like you maintain the
Well, then
balance.
he would just kind of like scoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for my rabbit's foot, but then the whole community center will be restored. I was going to show you, I recorded some gameplay before this too. I was going to take you on a tour of my 70-hour town.
Oh.
Like I've got a greenhouse, I've got these iridium sprinklers, so I have crops of 24 that water themselves every single day.
So what do they
It's
need
the
you
good
for at
life.
this point?
What?
Someone's got to harvest them? Is that what it
At this point, I'm one of the things that you can do, one of the community center challenges, which I totally got distracted by, is it repairs the bus line, and then you can take the bus to the desert.
Oh, yeah.
And so once you get to the very bottom of the mines, there's 120 levels. You get all the way to the bottom, and you get a skull key that unlocks, I don't know what, spoiler? It's not huge. Like, nobody cares. It unlocks the skull caverns in the desert. So
Oh.
then there's like a new set of caves you can go into, but they're more challenging. They're a little bit more combat based, and it's where you get the really rare stuff, like iridium to make your totally sweet sprinklers.
Do you have to have iridium for sprinklers? Is this like the special thing that's in all cell phones?
It was like Iridium was the old satellite cell phone service that Motorola used to run. Remember that? They had
Oh,
they had satellites all around the world. with the giant antenna that flipped up,
Yeah.
and it cost like
Sweet.
$10 a minute or something ridiculous. But
If
yeah,
you're
I think
lucky.
I think
Worth every minute.
I think you can make sprinklers without iridium.
You can. There are a couple different levels of sprinklers. Like the very first sprinkler, you get what?
Different levels of sprinklers.
Yeah.
Of course there are. I mean, it's crafting. There's a lot of crafting in the game, so you unlock various recipes for both items and then also food. Mm-hmm. But the base level sprinkler will water 4 tiles. It'll water like the ones at the
Around it, yeah.
around
So
it,
they have
just like
bigger
4,
range.
and then the next one up does 8, so it does like a full square around it.
You need iridium
then-
to take the extra pressure.
You do.
Yeah.
It's real important.
Satellite water delivery.
And then, but the best sprinkler does 24 around it, so it's like 3.
So it's
rows
like
up.
Minecraft getting like different
Like, think-
durability.
It's like Minecraft
yes.
mixed with Farmville in
It's
some
the-
ways, except
it's
no
the-
social interaction with humans.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the diamond sprinkler.
The diamond. That's exactly what I was thinking of when
Yeah.
you said the best one was the diamond sprinkler.
Yeah, so I recorded some gameplay because I was going to take y'all around, but I'm having an issue with I've been using the Xbox app on Windows 10 to record gameplay for anything I need, which is awesome, except I've been having problems with it the last few days where it just says there's nothing to record. And I'm like, well, that's judgmental. So I had to use Fraps, and unfortunately Fraps, I think, requires conversion before we can
Yeah.
put it into
Oh,
our
through the
streamer.
board.
It has to be handbraked, so no gameplay. And no HDMI cable, so y'all just going to have to wait and see my farm later. Maybe I'll do like a Twitch cribs.
Yeah, you should
Yeah?
absolutely do that.
Stardew cribs.
Yeah.
So how many coops does it take to get like a animal farm kind of situation going on? Like when did the pigs take over?
Right now, I got one pig, and he just finds truffles.
Oh.
You got a truffle pig?
I got a truffle pig.
Those are
All
expensive.
pigs can be truffle pigs.
This is a special trained
can
truffle
they
pig.
though?
Yeah, it's just whether or not they eat them before you can fucking get to them.
You
No,
also have
this
to
one-
own land with truffles.
Yeah.
This one knows what's up. He knows that if he starts eating the truffles, he's dead to me, literally. So
Bacon.
he just
Bacon, yeah, yeah.
digs up a truffle
Ba-
and then gives it to me.
You can have bacon truffle?
Ooh.
So
Truffle
you
bacon? Yeah.
Yeah.
get truffles every day. Put them into my press, make some truffle oil. They go great in all my deluxe recipes. I'm getting real crazy with the cooking.
That's right. There's a crafting system, a cooking system. There's an upgrade system, so you can upgrade your tools to make them more effective. There's fishing, mining. I mean,
It's the kind of game where you. So just as an example, I was playing. I think it was last weekend. I gave myself the afternoon to play it. Night comes on. I'm still playing it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna really indulge. I'm gonna let myself play until 2 a.m. It is, after all,
Ooh.
the weekend, and I am a party girl. So I gave myself until 2, and then I checked the phone to see how close I was getting. It was 4 something.
wild night, man. There were so many crops to plant.
So
I go to bed.
harvest.
Bernie's like, "What time did you go to get to bed last night?" And I was like, "I don't know."
so
I was like, it wasn't bad or anything.
I went to bed so many times.
so RG_Lockston on Twitter is very grateful to you, Ashley.
For what, preaching?
Saying not only was that not a spoiler, it was super helpful. Been trying to figure out how I get to the desert.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
helping
It's
out
repair the
people.
bus. The community center opens up a lot of things. It opens up also a quarry, because once you get your farm cleared out, you don't have as many opportunities to gather stone. Well, I mean, you get a ton of fucking stone in the mine, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's a quarry set aside that has minerals and that sort of thing, so you don't have to necessarily go into the mine anymore to just stock up. There's one that you get, I think it's the fishing one, and I still haven't capitalized on this very much, but it clears that glittering boulder that's next to the mines. So
Oh,
then
yeah.
minerals wash out, and you can actually use a pan to get minerals out of the river. Which so far I've seen one glimmering spot, couldn't figure out how to use my fucking pan, and went,
Do you,
whatever.
do you get
I'm
to
mine.
shake
I'm
your hat
mine,
around
I'm
and go yeehaw?
Yeehaw!
I'm
I
moving to
found
California.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm way past gold now.
Okay.
So I looked it up on how long to beat because it sounds like you've been playing this.
I don't think there is a
game.
beat. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. It says main story 55 and a half hours, main plus extras 83 and a half hours.
Well,
I mean, there are quests. and
I'm at
things.
70 right now, and I'm still not even married. I think you have to get the biggest
well,
upgrade
don't rush.
for the house
No, yeah.
Yeah,
before you can
Make
have
sure
kids
you know each
too.
other.
yeah.
So, and I think you can get 2 kids. So, yeah, I'm trying to string everyone along because there's a Steam achievement for getting everyone in town at a 10 heart level. So I'm stringing the boys along first, then I'll string the girls along, and then I'll string all the old people along.
Heartless.
Yeah.
Literally
I'm gonna
heartless.
have I'm gonna have so many fucking hearts.
It's like a serial killer.
And you're going to break them
I'll
all.
You're a
be
psychopath.
240 hearts by the end. No, they'll just like me a lot. I won't
bring
make
you-
any false promises. I'm not going to get in bouquets.
This is what happens when the soulless corporate entity moves into a small town. They just take it all for themselves, all the hearts.
As a matter of fact, that's one thing that I haven't experimented with. I don't think I'm going to like start a new farm to do it, but I don't know if you encountered this in your early playthrough, but there's a Joja Mart in town.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you can buy a membership there, and instead of shopping at the local at Pierre's, and they will demolish the community center and set up a factory there. And
Joja Mart, who you worked for before or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I refused to buy anything from them out of principle because I was like, I left y'all. I'm not coming back. I'm enjoying country life.
You're telling me I can destroy this little town?
No, I'm telling you, you can destroy the community center and then spend cold hard cash on all those upgrades.
We're going to Walmart them right out of there. Oh, I see so many things lighting up.
Ryan's suddenly much more interested in the game.
Coming for you, Pierre. I'm going to put you out. You know why? Because we worked real hard to save up and go buy a backpack. Motherfuckers closed on Wednesdays.
He is closed on Wednesdays. Yeah, and what's really annoying, there's another lady, the lady that runs the ranch, and also I think the carpenter. They both shut down on Tuesdays to go to an aerobics class.
It's like I have to keep track of everybody's schedule.
It's kind of like real life. Like, why is it that so many barbershops in the real world are closed on Monday? Same
Are they?
thing. Yeah.
Is it because they're open on Saturday and still
when
on a
you're open
2-day
on
weekend?
weekends.
I don't know. Not my problem.
Well, that's my theory anyway.
Well, it is if you need a haircut. But.
I'm having a fantastic time. I spend so much time. I have to be very careful about letting myself start playing it in the evenings. I have to make sure everything for my day is done first.
I think it's not going to hook me that much, but it is definitely interesting.
It's more
enough
that you
I
don't
want to go back to
you
it.
just don't notice time passing because like time pass. I think a day in the game, you can spend like 10, 15 minutes, and so it's really easy to say like, oh, I'm just going to do another day, but then at the end of that day, and you're like, oh, I have this thing to do, and I'll forget if I don't do it in this next day, so I'll just do that, and then I'll get to a stopping point. Spoiler, there's no stopping point. There is never a time.
There's
You
That's
just
like,
stop
those
with no
are the
leveling
best
up.
games. It's the same it's the same mechanic that drives you when you play like Civilization. That's what I think of. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, if I stop
Just one
playing
more
now,
turn.
I'm not going to remember
Where
that I
you're
was going to
going.
do this or what I was going to do with this. So it's like one more. And I mean, that's really, the sign of a super addictive
That's a
game.
great comparison actually, because there are. I mean, this day-night cycle actually does make it almost turn-based because you get to a point where like I'm too tired. All right, I'll just go sleep, and then during the night, that's when you get money for things and.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and
you put them in a box.
one tip for people that I was very late in figuring out, so it's going to cost me like a couple more months of crops, is there are in-game achievements. They're not going to give you real world points. They're not going to do anything like that, but there's achievements for shipping products, which is not the same as selling them to Pierre. So if you sell to Pierre, it doesn't count as shipped, but you get the same amount of money either way.
How do you ship them? You put them in the
You
mail?
you put them in the box by your cabin.
Oh, that's what I always do.
Right. I started selling stuff to Pierre because at first he was giving me the whole like, I'm a local business owner, you don't want to support Joja Mart spiel, and I was like, you're right. I want to support you, Pierre. So I sold all my stuff to him instead of shipping it. That was a mistake.
I didn't even
made
realize
the
I was
same
already
amount
on
of
the
money.
corporate domination path.
They know about you already. You're in the system.
Yeah. So yeah, good times.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Let me read this thing here. I want to remind everyone this episode of The Patch is brought to you by Trunk Club. No matter what time of year it is, you got to make every second count. That means looking your best. No more ratty jeans or oversized hoodies. It's time to upgrade your wardrobe and let Trunk Club handle all of the work for you. Trunk Club takes the hassle out of shopping by finding the best clothes for you and your style. You'll look and feel amazing and will always have the perfect clothes for the season. At trunkclub.com/thepatch, you answer simple questions about your style, preferences, and size, and are assigned an expert stylist. Your stylist will handpick clothes from the best premium brands. Just approve of what you like and send back what you don't like, and just like that, a trunk arrives on your doorstep filled with handpicked clothes that are perfect for you. Try them on, keep what you like, and easily return what you don't in their prepaid trunk. Trunk Club is not a subscription service. You only pay for the clothes you keep from your trunk. No hidden charges, just great clothes. Get started today and Trunk Club will style you for free. Plus free shipping both ways. You only pay for the clothes that you keep. To take advantage, go to trunkclub.com/thepatch. That's trunkclub.com/thepatch for a trunk full of clothes that you will love wearing. Thank you, Trunk Club, for sponsoring the patch and for sending me some snazzy blue jeans.
Ashley, were you aware that when you're selling to Pierre, he's gouging you?
What
Fucking-
does that mean?
Fucking typical.
Den of thieves.
All right. Well, I've stopped selling to him, so it's no longer going to be a problem. But also, you know what business I've gone into? Brewing.
Oh, you making your own beer?
I'm
I hear
now
beer
a
is like
brewer.
250 G's.
Oh yeah, it's pretty sweet. So
I'm told that we have your gameplay.
Oh,
hey, oh yeah, that's my game. So
your coop?
so meet my coop. There
Hold on,
I've got a rabbit and I've got 2 chickens and I've got a duck.
you've got $114,000.
Yeah.
Your G's?
Shit yeah, I'm a brewer. I've been reading interesting guides on this sort of thing. This is a screenshot, as it turns out. Thanks for the screenshot, though. That was my coop. Meet my coop.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah, I read interesting guides on like min maxing, which I don't care about that much. I started doing beer because one of the guys that I was trying to like get to like me was really into beer, and I was like, maybe I'll make some beers. And it turns out it also sells for a hell of a lot of money. So I have like a row of kegs.
So you're winning him over by getting him drunk?
Exactly.
People like beer.
All right, it's true.
I
Some
mean,
people.
isn't that the way we function? We go out to bars and get drunk enough to stand people.
Oh. Is that like swiping left?
That's why you don't like
That's how I
anybody,
live my
Ryan.
life.
Or is it right? Which direction do you swipe?
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
matter. Swipe in all the directions.
Swipe down.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
Yeah. So I have a lot of money. It's great. In
You
fact,
are loaded,
I have enough
clearly.
money to buy fruit trees, which for whatever reason are super expensive.
Well, they're the gift that keeps
there's
on giving.
thousands of golds each, and they only bear fruit once a year. I mean, like one season per year each. Like
These
there's
some
your
good
spring
apples.
trees. They fucking better be. They're thousands of dollars
what
per
you do
tree.
is you take special apples, make special beer twice as expensive.
Special cider.
That's true.
There you go,
So,
hard apple.
Yeah. Yeah. The trouble really is that beer makes itself in like a day and a half, whereas wine from the fruits takes like a week. So, yeah. Not that patient.
The science of min-maxing your alcohol process in Stardew Valley.
Well, I think we probably should talk about Quantum Break, right? 'Cause
I-
that's
Oh, okay.
I do want to talk
Okay.
about Quantum Break. I think people,
Have you played it?
I have played.
Okay.
I'm just starting to play it.
Okay.
So
I've only played.
be careful with me.
I've only played the part of it that we're allowed to talk about for this week.
Oh, great.
Because we did get access to it early, and we had there's certain
Yeah,
embargoes.
we were
So we
supplied
can-
codes
Yeah.
from Microsoft for the game so that we can play it and talk about it. And I think you all had a Let's Watch,
We've
right?
done a Let's Watch in it, yeah.
And we can
That's
talk
going
more
on.
next week.
Yes,
More
we can talk about Act 2 next
elaborately.
week.
Yeah.
Yes, and then and then after the embargo is up, whenever that is, we'll really go to town.
Yeah.
So it's I feel like this is a game that I was very excited for when it was first announced, and I feel like it went kind of dark for a long time. Like there were, when it was first announced, I felt like there were all these thoughts thrown out about like a live action component, and and they really weren't clear in my mind about how it was all going to mesh together. So seeing it actually in practice is interesting, and maybe not quite exactly what I was thinking. When they first pitched it, I was thinking maybe there was going to be an episodic weekly series that got released via the Xbox that you would watch along with it, as you played the game.
Kind of, sort of like the sci-fi show.
Ascension, was that it? Or
No.
No, Ascension was the totally sweet, like
It's the MMO that's still
Bioshock in
going.
space one.
It starts with a D. Defiant.
Oh, nice work.
Yeah,
I was
I
gonna
got
make
there.
a call to the internet and didn't even need it.
Which, though, the Defiance, it was a show and then an MMO, which tied into the show. But or maybe like
No,
no,
yeah.
no, 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 yeah, no.
But yeah, the way it ends up working out is the live action portion, and we can talk about episode
one.
one
Yeah,
of the live action.
episode one.
It fits in almost like a prolonged cutscene. But there are in-game cutscenes as you're playing, and characters interact. But once you're done with an act, well, maybe we should talk about how the game works. A little
the
more
general
first.
structure first.
So you have acts, which are
Right.
basically like which have chapters in them. Which you can kind of get that. Like a lot of games have that, where they break down portions of the game into chunks and then smaller chunks. So you go through an act. Then at the end of the act, it seems like there's a junction, and the junction is you play as the opposite side. Is what it seems like.
Right.
You play
or
as,
at least in this case.
in this case, you play as the villain.
So you play through as the hero, and then at the junction you switch to. Essentially, it sets up that there are two main characters, the protagonist and the antagonist, which are both time power enabled. If you want to,
Right.
I mean, they've got a fancier term like Cronon. But so those are the two main focuses of the story. Both of them trying to bring about a certain. We don't know what yet, but so you play through the first part of it as the protagonist, who is Sean Ashmore.
Yes.
And then I forget the actor's name that is the antagonist.
He plays Littlefinger in Game of Thrones. Little.
Oh, that's why people kept saying that. Okay, I got it. I haven't seen
He
Game of Thrones.
has a name that's not Littlefinger. Because
Aidan Gillen.
There you go.
Nah, Littlefinger.
And then so you play as the antagonist in the Junction, and it's much shorter than the act.
Yeah.
It basically comes down to one. Well, I mean, there is some gameplay, but it's just like one decision you have to make that then affects the branching story, and then that has effects further down the line. And you can kind of preview. It's like you have to make this decision, and it's like, well, you can make this decision, and this is maybe what's going to happen, or you can make this other decision, and here's what'll happen as a result of that. So you make one, and then that in turn affects not only the story of the game as you're playing it, it also affects the live action series that is played between the acts. And the first thing that really struck me about watching that live action series was how long it was.
Yeah.
I think the episode 1 of the live action, which happens after Act 1, was about 20 minutes long.
And I think it is important to note too that during watching that cutscene, it actually has very normal Netflix style play controls. You can pause, you can rewind, fast forward. So it's not like something you're locked into. Oh, I'm stuck in a cutscene. I can't.
They really recommended that you watch the cutscenes though, and they said that you don't have to, but that it's like skipping forward in anything. You're gonna miss stuff.
I feel like if you skip it, that you're going to get lost very quickly in the story.
Yeah, I just meant that you don't like. Sometimes when you sit down and get stuck in a cutscene, it's not so much stuck as, okay, well, I didn't expect to sit here for 20 minutes. I'm going to sit here for 20 minutes, and if I quit it, it's hard to get back to it. It's very easy to play, pause, rewind, interact with a cutscene as if you're watching a TV show instead of a traditional cutscene.
Yeah.
Right,
And these are the cutscenes that are streaming only.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's similar to the complaint I had in XCOM 2, where in one of the early cutscenes, my dog distracted me, and I tried to pause the cutscene and ended up skipping it because there was no control. So you don't have to worry about something like that. You can pause it, and pick it up. And it seems like the live action episode was also affected by the decision you made in the Junction, because there were references to that in the live action. So I wonder going forward if how complicated that's going to be depending on how many junctions there are.
Not only is it an influence, it's the question is how big of an influence, but it's not only influenced by the decision you make in the Junction, but they're also in the act there were 2 quantum ripples is what they're called, which are essentially collectibles in a way where you interact with something in the environment, and whether you interact with it or not affects the cutscene as well.
Right.
So there was only 2 in Act 1, and they didn't seem to make any dramatic difference other than just like one time was like a background reference. You hear somebody solve the equation on the board. Yeah. And I don't know if that'll play out into anything, or if that was just little tiny hooks.
That was the extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that may just be it. They may just be tiny hooks into it that play or don't play. But
Gavin Scott Olson on Twitter asks, would you say Quantum is on par with Alan Wake? Those are some big ass shoes to fill.
It's hard to say. At this point, we can only really talk about Act 1. So I'm not comfortable judging the whole game yet based on the limited scope that we're talking. Based on my impressions so far, yeah. I mean, I liked Alan Wake a lot, but I'm liking this a lot too.
I haven't actually played Alan Wake. I need to actually go back and pick that up just because it seems like there's been at least a couple references, though they've not been anything that's like, oh, this Alan Wake guy, did you read the book? It's just
more
been
like
one
Easter eggs.
Yeah, there was a blackboard that had Alan Wake written on it at one point. In the cutscene, it very quickly pans past an Alan Wake book just sitting on a table, but it's not like it's tied in any way.
Right. There's no it's not like I was gonna say it's not same universe, but maybe it is. But it's not like super heavily influenced.
Well, it might be like the Firewatch has the Gone Home Dad's book, where it's more of a nod, but doesn't necessarily affect this standalone experience.
I suspect that's how it's going to go.
But combined universe theory.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's also there's also some upgrading you can do to the character and the powers.
There is?
Yeah. But it's a little tricky to find initially.
Okay.
So you'll start to see more of that down the road.
Yeah, the first act I really I get kind of an interesting idea of where the game's going to go, but as you said, it's very hard to judge what it's going to be like and if it's going to be a good title at this point, because it's just that first act is very introductory. And it seems like actually when the Let's Watch we put up, there's been a lot of ambivalent statements on it, and I think it's because one, we couldn't show the opening, so you
Correct.
jump into it at a certain point without really any backstory, and two, it is essentially in a lot of ways like the setup. It's just the tutorial that gives you how the rest of the game's general mechanics are going to work. I will say the acting seemed to be pretty good in the live action part, and
Well, they got some good people.
they got decent cast to
I
it.
think they did a good job of creating the in-game versions of those actors and
did.
actresses. They look really convincing. It looks a lot like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of facial mocap too, I would guess, because a lot of the just diction with the mouths is really well done for even just, hey, you're just talking to somebody over there. Offhand comments are all very well mimed.
Yeah, and that's happening so much with games now. Just like all the detail of motion capture they do. The voice actors really are just actors now.
Yeah. Overall, though, I'd say so far it looks good. I wish the lighting's a little over the top sometimes.
Like in
Stylistic.
game.
It's got really the graphics are really good, but at times it's just like it's a little overlit, and so it blows things out a little for me. But that could have been my monitor. Other than that, though, I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious, and we'll be able to talk a little more about it next week. I think we can talk about Act 2, like you said.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have more hands-on time with the game to be able to talk more about.
It's like a mini game club.
Yeah, like sometimes we talk about games on the show.
Have you guys started playing Game Club game?
Yes.
The lesbian sex game on the roof?
It's asked me 2 questions so far. I think I've played for over an hour.
I have not started, but I had a dream about it last night.
I'm sorry.
What?
Yeah,
Go on.
I had a dream that, like, all I know is lesbian sex game because that's all I think Meg.
Oh, yeah.
That's how
said
she
about
sold it, yeah.
Lesbian ghost sex game on the roof.
So I had a dream that I was a teenager playing it at home, and my parents were in the same room watching me play the game. Then it got to like a lesbian sex scene, and it was really uncomfortable. And I was like, "Why did this have to come on?" Or like when my parents are in the room with me watching, like the game's been fine the whole time. Then as soon as they walk in, anyway, that was the extent of the dream, which was like teenage awkwardness. So I really need to start playing that game so I could figure out whether or not I should be embarrassed.
I mean, so far, again, I have not encountered anything that your parents couldn't see, and it's suffering very heavily from the things we have a lot of issues with visual novels. Is that really could have used an editor
That we have or that you
that I have, where it's like, why did this scene need to be here? That just wasted 20 minutes of my life.
Development.
No, it doesn't develop anything.
What about people? Did it develop people?
No, it's characters that were already introduced, and it's just like, all right, glad we reiterated that one more time.
Did they bond?
No. Or if they did, they didn't do very much of it. I don't know. Again,
They'll do that later without all their clothes on.
I'm hoping that it goes somewhere, but so far it's really well. I guess it's clearly an excellent example of the visual novel genre.
Fair enough.
If only they were pigeons.
If only.
So besides Quantum Break, I finally finished XCOM 2 over the weekend.
Did you turn on the? Did you get the Anarchy's Children DLC?
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I got it.
I was, by the way,
I got
wrong.
it
It
like
only
the day.
all it did was add cosmetic
Yeah.
upgrades.
Okay. So I mean, I got it, but I haven't really, done anything with it. The last mission in that game is fucking impossible.
Really?
Not impossible. You finished it.
I had to turn on cheats.
Really?
Never
Yeah.
mind.
Why?
I guess remember my strategy of we're gonna take
Oh.
bullets and they're gonna take bullets.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take less.
No,
That doesn't work in that last mission.
No.
No. I don't know that the way I played the game, I'd be able to finish that last mission without
Really?
cheats. Yeah.
I think by the time I beat it, which the very end of the last mission is just like they start throwing guys at you. They just keep coming, and you have to essentially kill like 3 or 4 boss guys that are
3, yeah.
that are at the heart of it. Yeah, and it's a fight. But I think that's the strategy that helped me was I had a psyops guy or 2, I forget, and a tech guy. So I was taking units from them to turn against their own guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I kept trying to do with, like, the main character you have in that fight was mind controlling and trying to, turn it against them. That way they were fighting their own people, but still, it was just overwhelming.
I got a gateway early on. I keep calling it a gateway, a gatekeeper. Gatekeepers are great. I steal them whenever I see them because they can take so much damage, and they've got an ability that they can walk up to in game, it's supposed to be their own unit and kind of sacrifice it to absorb health. But when you take them, that means that they can go up to enemy units and try and eat them for health. So I would just keep the guy alive and doing
keep doing
damage
that.
while I'm healing myself.
It's very necromantic. I like it.
Yeah.
What like? How did you play the game? Like broad strokes strategy, and what would you advise everybody else do different?
I didn't do any of the psyop stuff that he's talking about.
Very important.
I just upgraded armor and traditional weapons, and it's not adequate.
You like brute forced it?
Yeah, it's not enough.
I mean, I assume you were done with the tech tree by the time you went to the
Yeah, with the weapons and the armor, yes.
Well,
You were
you're
done with
also
everything?
No, I
We're-
didn't do any psyop stuff.
Well, that's. I mean, you just have to build the chamber.
I don't.
But like you did all the research, I imagine. Like you got to where there was no more research to be done.
No, there's probably still research I could have done.
Really?
Yeah.
We're
I probably should, because at first I was really slow in playing the game, just kind of taking my time. Then once I realized there was a timer, I really sped up. And then at the end, I probably should have spent some more time fleshing out research. Like if I was going to go back and try to finish the game, I'd probably have to load an earlier save, not start the final missions, and just spend some time dicking around completing research.
Yeah, because were you the one saying that you were doing story mission, and not doing a lot of side stuff?
Initially, it was flipped, but then yes, I started doing
Okay.
that.
It does early on kind of give you this idea that you've got a very, very short time frame in which to operate. But then as you kind of play the game, you realize that doing things like destroying bases or killing avatar characters drops that timer back down. So you can push out when the big final cataclysm will happen.
Yeah, I started freaking out. Like when I made my switch was because the timer was basically halfway done. But by the time I started the end of the game, the timer was at 0. Like I could constantly keep their timer empty just by doing missions. But I should have spent more time. I should have dicked around a bit. Sowed my oats.
Yeah.
Got committed a little
Get
too
your
early.
Got a little
wild
wild.
murder
Got
on.
your hearts up on all the other aliens.
Plus, I constantly had people hurt. And I think I talked about that last week. I didn't want to start the final mission because some of my good soldiers were still injured, and I began the final missions with them still in the hospital.
Did you?
Still injured,
Oof.
yeah. So it was not smart overall, and that's why I was fucking angry.
I'd say it was on par with the final mission of XCOM 1, though. It's about the same length, though I think maybe the final confrontation was more
Brutal?
over the top, more brutal, yeah, more massive. But it's one of those where it's like, okay, yeah, I got 2 hours, let's do this.
Yeah, and that was the frustrating part was, progressing through it and then being like, maybe I should have approached this whole battle differently than starting the battle over and progressing through it and be like, no, different. And it's a lot. That last map is way bigger than any other encounter. And that's what I didn't realize. When I first started playing it was, okay, this is probably the enemies I have to fight. Oh, wait, there's more to the map. Okay, this is probably, no, wait, there's more to them. And then by the end, you're like, oh, now I got to kill, 3 of these bosses? Oh,
And all their minions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's where the PSYOP there is. What do they call it? It's just Psy.
Psy-operative.
Yeah. A lot of their abilities do damage to multiple opponents simultaneously. Not only can you steal opponents, but then you can also damage groups of opponents, and it helps tremendously with that kind of protracted fight.
So really what you should tell people is probably that you were just playing on extra hard mode. You decided to make it harder on yourself
You
by
did.
not developing any psyops.
I did, because I was
You wanted the
stupid.
challenge. No, you wanted a real challenge.
I feel like you could actually make good use of
Yeah,
the
right?
Anarchy Children
Yeah.
DLC, because then you can just have them be all your characters feel to me like they would be just underwear and mohawk.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just balls to the wall. Let's go.
So I mean, I'm glad I did it that way, just because it makes me want to do another playthrough and approach it differently, and maybe take a different route with my tech.
Would you turn on Iron Man for your second run?
What's that?
That means you can't save and load.
Oh, I would do that. Yeah.
You're stuck with one continuously updated autosave, which apparently, people. I don't know. I'm not sure why you would do this, but you can still physically copy the file on your hard drive. You can go to where the save is and just copy it. And
So it's basically doing Iron Man, but not.
you can do that. The only reason I would think of that you might legit want to do that is just in case it gets corrupted.
Could you set up like a cron job on your computer?
I'm sure you
to where,
could,
like
yeah.
every 5 minutes or so,
just,
it's
like,
just
copies and
yeah,
duplicates.
But
making a
why would
copy.
you do it? It's like you're the only one. I guess maybe there's probably a Steam achievement just to say you got the Steam achievement for doing it. But
Speaking of which, I thought that was interesting. I fully admit that I enabled cheats for the final mission. I still got the achievement for beating the game.
really,
Well done.
Enabling cheats didn't disable the achievement, which I thought was weird. So I wonder
What
if
cheat did you turn on?
invincibility.
Can
Which
you,
is
how
a
do you
pretty
even
major
turn those
one.
on? Is it just a menu?
You have to add a flag to the command line on startup. So in Steam, you have to modify
Oh, shit.
the flags.
Okay.
It's like enable console or something. Then in console, you type like power up with the P and you capitalized. And I think that's invincibility.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that involved. Nowadays, a lot of times games just have a cheat.
Yeah, I don't
menu
know
you turn on.
if there is a console in game. I don't understand why you have to go in and like enable it with a flag.
You have to really want it.
It seems
Yeah.
like you should be able to pop it up. Maybe,
I mean,
for
maybe it's-
casual gamers, they don't want them hitting it and like getting confused.
Yeah, or like maybe it's like they want the cheat. Like you have to try to be cheating. You can't just be like, oh, what's this? Oh, here you go.
Oops,
no.
I
You have to
cheated by
try.
accident.
You gotta put your back into it. Add those flags.
I
Hard
think
work.
I went back and started a new playthrough just to check out the Anarchy's Children DLC. I think I'll probably wait for another DLC or two before I complete it, because I think the last one that's coming out, which all of them are coming out this year, and I think in a pretty short time frame, but the last one is the one that adds another character class. It's called Shin's Last Gift, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
It might be. That makes me kind of suspect it might be a robot or
Mm-hmm.
a mech or something.
What was your playtime? Do you remember? Because who is this?
I can look it
Gavin
up.
Scott Olsen on Twitter is saying that how the hell did you beat the game without any psyops? You
Cheating.
probably doubled your playtime. So I'm curious to know what yours was, because I think by the time I finished the game, I was about 50 hours. Can you see it on the Steam app?
I think so. Let me look.
Yeah, Steam app should show playtime.
My only concern is when we originally got access to it, they were kind enough to give us a review copy, which didn't act the same way as I have 102 hours on record. So.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
No,
way
sorry,
more
wait,
than me.
hang on. I'm sorry. That's XCOM Enemy Unknown. But the review copy didn't work exactly the same as a regular copy.
Like
so
it doesn't fall under the same menu in Steam.
It didn't have it wasn't Steam Link enabled, so I couldn't copy saves back and forth through Steam Cloud, which meant that I did it on my own via Jump Drive, which, as it turns out, it gets real confused when you do that and starts going backwards in time.
But playtime doesn't, right? Like, because it seems like isn't Steam's playtime
Well,
like it always like it's just cumulative, like how long you're running that executable.
it is. It's just the only problem is with that review copy went away, so I now have a full copy of it.
So
Yeah, I only have 2 hours on record.
yeah, Steam says I played for 42 hours. I thought it was 50, but 42.
I probably played for somewhere in that neighborhood, I would imagine. It only says 2 hours on record. So then now that I have the full copy of it, it doesn't track.
Brian,
the
you don't
previous
have to
time.
pretend that you play video games.
I don't. I'm just such a non-gamer. I'm so happy that I don't have to pretend anymore. Thank you.
So the other game that you played this week that I'm interested in, and I have not played, is Battleborn.
Battleborn,
right.
yeah.
I
we
haven't
just-
played it either, but you guys got what? Tell me more.
Okay, so Battleborn is a... when I originally looked at a lot of the stuff, I assumed it was kind of MOBA-esque, and it could be that the multiplayer is.
It's not.
Well, it's got a 5-player co-op story campaign as well, which is we just did a Let's Play in that. So I have not yet played the multiplayer, but that really kind of sets it apart because it felt, if anything, I had to compare it to, I'd say it felt more like almost a Serious Sam, where it's a 5-player co-op. You progress through a level. It's not even doesn't feel like a smaller Conquest style MOBA map. It felt like a full size.
I think I may be confusing Battleborn with Battlecry.
The problem is right now. Okay, so
There's between
Battleborn is the
Battleborn.
Gearbox
Battleborn,
one.
Yes.
Battlecry, and Bloodborne. I get so confused.
not only that, but there's Battleborn, Gigantic,
Overwatch.
and there's one more. That's like all very similar.
Oh, Paragon.
Paragon, yeah, very similar, like first or third person. This is a first person shooter. I think
Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch is also first person. I think Paragon and
Is third, I believe.
yeah, I believe Paragon's third, and I
Gigantic is, I think, third.
is also third.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bunch of very close products, very similar products coming out in a similar time frame. I enjoyed it. It had a really interesting cast of characters. We only had at least initially like 6 or 7 unlocked to choose from. I think there are 25 in the game.
Wow. That's one of the things I'm worried about with, you're talking about some of these games that are coming out. I'm having the same problem. I'm having a problem, I guess I should say, with Battleborn and Overwatch in keeping all the characters straight. Because I think Overwatch has 21 announced so far. And I feel like going into either of those games, I wouldn't know which character I want to play.
Well, what it does kind of, what helps you kind of figure out what you want to do at least in Battleborn is they're still classes of characters essentially. So I played a sniper class, so I had a long range weapon. It's very simplified mechanics. You do have a level 1 to 10 kind of RPG style leveling up thing where you get 2 choices every level to upgrade this ability or that ability. You just have a left bumper, a right bumper, and a Y attack. In addition to your regular left, right, you've got like a close quarters melee and then a shoot.
Okay, so
depending on if you're sniper or melee or whatever.
all right, so I don't play a lot of MOBAs. I think I probably played Smite more than anything else, and that was mostly because of that tournament that we did. But in that one, we would select between a couple of options and then go from there. So is it kind of like that, or is it more simplified than that?
They've got a whole multiplayer side that I haven't played yet. The single player story, all I can say so far is we've played one of the 2 episodes that's available in the preview, and it didn't feel like they were condensing a mobile world into a single player campaign. It felt like a full map.
Okay.
It had some really it's got sort of Borderlands-esque art, though it's somewhat pulled back from the cell shaded, more just kind of cartoony. But
I do like them more. I like
yeah.
that more games are going stylized and cartoony. I feel like they age a lot better that way.
I agree. It's that will hold up a lot longer. It also had a really kind of funny sense of humor, which is an odd thing to say. But
It's a Gearbox game. Gearbox has been good at that kind of stuff.
Like the characters that you interact with in the course of that story mission are funny and have a lot of personality.
Nice. That actually makes me a lot more interested in it.
I enjoyed it. I've played through the second mission twice now, and it's I don't know how much replayability the story part of it will have, but I assume that the story is more of a springboard towards the multiplayer anyway. And I also don't know how long the story will be. As I said, only episode or story mission 2 and 3 are available in the preview, so it could be that there's a lot more.
Well, Overwatch is doing a similar kind of introduction. Like, did you guys see the short that they put out?
Yeah, that raised a lot of questions for me.
It did me too. It
Why?
made me wonder. So it's a short.
It's
At
like
first,
8 minutes long.
It reminded me a little bit of the Team Fortress, like meet the classes, the videos that they put out. Where in this one you were meeting this one particular character who's like, forgive me, I don't know a lot about Overwatch as a franchise, but he seems like the leader of the Overwatch dudes. And so it's sort of introducing you to them being recalled from wherever they've been.
Or being outlawed by here we're seeing the Petrus Act.
Yeah,
almost like the Incredibles, where superheroes were no longer allowed to go out and be super.
Exactly like this,
Right.
exactly like the Incredibles. So they've all gone scattered, and he's like calling them back. But it kind of it seems like the sort of thing where they could totally do a mixed media, 80s style, and have their game and an ongoing series, and then maybe why not some toys with NFC capabilities?
Mm-hmm. It's been done a couple times.
Yeah.
By this point.
But still could be cool.
But there were also people who are really familiar with the universe were commenting on how, when he, spoiler for the video, he recalls the Overwatch agents, that in that recall notification, there are agents on screen that have not been announced as characters in the game yet. So now there's speculation that, are there going to be way more than 21 characters?
Interesting.
Those are the ones that died. Not everybody makes it back to the recall. So the character's name Winston?
That's Winston.
Winston, okay.
Yeah.
And he's the seeming leader of the good guy team?
That's what it seems like.
They don't explicitly say that, but he's initiating a recall, so who would have
if he
that
has
kind of
the
power?
authority to do that sort of thing, we assume he's a bigwig. He's an executive.
Would you feel like did you feel like it was kind of a humorous short, or was it very...
It definitely had a sense of humor. I wouldn't say it was funny, but it was lighthearted in its way, for sure.
It was well done. Oh, there's Winston from... that was one of the earlier... That was like the launch or the reveal trailer, I believe. But, Blizzard's always been known for, really great cinematics. So seeing this, it makes me wonder, is this something that they also produced in house, or did they find someone else to do it? Because I thought the quality on it was excellent.
Top
I thought
notch.
It was really well done.
I thought it was like Pixar levels of good looking.
So, and I wonder also if we're gonna see more videos for each of the characters.
That would be great.
Like, is each character gonna have their own 8-minute video that introduces them and helps establish
like
their
why
character?
they're here, like why they're fighting for their thing.
Yeah.
That would be sweet. I love it. I know Meg's a big fan of Tracer.
Yeah.
From Yep, from the very initial preview, she was like, "I'm gonna cosplay that one." It was immediate.
It's probably easier for Meg to cosplay Tracer than Winston.
I like a challenge.
She likes a challenge, she says.
All right, we'll wait to see Meg's Winston cosplay. Yeah, but I thought it looked really cool. I watched it, and at the end, I don't watch a lot of those kinds of videos, but by the end of this one, I was like, "Where's more?"
Yeah, and they did something else interesting. They've been doing I feel like Blizzard's been doing a lot more television advertising for the past year or two, and they also cut a 30-second TV commercial for this video that I've seen on television. And even while watching, it came on the other night when I was watching TV. Even my wife was like, "What game is that? That looks really cool. That's really interesting." And it's a way to maybe capture people who aren't necessarily gamers, people who don't know a lot about video games, to be like, "Oh, that looks like something I want to learn more about."
You didn't show her XCOM and be like, "You've been watching me play this for weeks."
It's like Diablo all over again.
That might have been too, though. I could see Xbox dropping the money for that because that short was released exclusively on their channel. So it might be some sort of co-marketing thing that they're doing that Xbox is footing the bill for, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. But again, still, it's still smart to just try to grab.
Absolutely.
Grab more players.
Yeah, they're going. It's games are going mainstream when you see the TV stuff. And I know there's a lot of the AAA games that do push out TV commercials, but it always indicates to me what sort of audience a game is going for when I see that versus strictly online games, like gamer-focused advertising.
Do you think that's video games reaching for a TV audience, or is that TV trying to pull gamers in?
There's still a weird cachet about seeing your stuff on TV. Even though, we constantly talk about how everyone's moving online and young people don't watch TV anymore and all that sort of stuff. But there's something, it's like seeing yourself like in a magazine still, even though everything's online and all the big numbers are online and a magazine may have a circulation of like 100,000. You still, you see like that magazine, you're like, we're in print.
Yeah.
There's just some weird legitimacy to it, which is why.
Glossy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which is why I think we still see a lot of that TV advertising is the stakeholders still feel like that's a very important thing. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think that it's the game seeking a wider audience. I don't think television's necessarily trying to draw gamers in. They're not paying Blizzard or Microsoft to
The money's
ad
going
on.
one direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Just follow the way the money flows. But yeah, I'm excited, and I want to play that game. I still haven't played it. One day I'll get around to it.
Hey, before we wrap up, have you played any more of The Division?
None. I've played a little bit, not too much more. I've been a little tied up with Quantum Break and finishing XCOM 2, but I have played a little more. Why?
Kind of one of those things where it's been a kind of drawn out process as I play my way through it, which I just hit 29, but I finished the last story mission.
You know who you should talk to is Bernie. He's recently started playing it, and he loves it.
That's why I want to love it, and it's got so many elements that are really, really well done. Like, the sound is gorgeous. Like, it's an odd thing to call out, but the Foley work in that game is tremendously well done. The game itself is very pretty. It's just, I find there's some weird choices in it that I just want to have someone to bounce it off of. Like, why the only real specialization character to character is gear based, so there's no character class.
The talents, the way you.
You can reassign those on the fly. Like, there's no reason to have a second character other than different gear, but you could just have a different gear set in your stash.
Yeah.
Why have a second character though?
Well, that's what kind of sets it apart in some ways from something like Destiny, or it's like where there was different experiences for each of the different play classes.
It's the same experience.
For now, it's just like you've got this one character. People are still mad at me for saying that it doesn't have a very strong story, and I still don't feel like it does. Like what story it has is told through a couple of cutscenes here or there. some audio as you're running place to place, and then intel documents. But the intels are all very like, this is a found footage. Look, that's when they invaded the city. And again, it suffers from that MMO storytelling where no matter what you do in telling the story, nothing can change at the end of it. You're still exactly
really world
where you
building.
started. Yeah, and the only time that the story can progress is when they release a big DLC.
Or a sequel.
Or a sequel. Yeah. So,
I'm still very interested in the game, and it's still a game I want to play quite a bit of. My brother-in-law gave me a PC code, so I could play it on my computer as well. And I find the keyboard controls a little off-putting.
really?
Yeah, like if you're running and you want to vault over an obstacle, by default, the control key is how you do that.
The control key to. Okay.
You hold control to vault over something. I was like, that doesn't seem right. Like, it made me want to dig out my controller. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing
No,
this.
it should be a V.
I'll tell you what, 2 games will really mess you up when you're playing back-to-back is The Division and Hitman, because the vault and, like, jump buttons are transposed. So in The Division, if you want to hop up on something, it's B, but in Hitman, it's A. And so I keep running into walls and just diving into them, and it doesn't do anything to you, but it feels like I'm just thunking my head in the middle of battle.
So you just look like the dumbest hitman
I
ever?
look like, well, no, this is happening in the
reverse.
Division, so I look like the dumbest secret hidden organization agent that has been activated in a time of crisis.
You look like the
Thank God you're here to save everyone.
exception that proves Darwin's rule.
There we go. Someone that failed their way to the top of special ops ladder.
Of dividing.
You just fell up it.
Yeah, gravity didn't work in my case. It was a reverse thump, thump, thump.
That's because you're bad at gravity.
Oh, I'm bad at that too. That explains a lot. That must be the Y key.
The white. We only have a couple of minutes left, so I don't want to get into anything too deep. But I saw that Jackbox Games announced Drawful 2. And when I read the headline, I thought, what would I change about Drawful to make a sequel?
Well, Gus, they're adding another color.
Right, so then I watched the video, and it's basically, now you can draw with 2 colors. And there's a bunch of features we can't talk about.
But can you erase? Because that's really what Drawful has always been. The most difficult part of that is if you mess up a line, you're just stuck with it.
You can incorporate it. It's part of the creative process. There are no mistakes. Did you learn anything from Bob Ross?
There are absolutely mistakes.
Happy
It is
mistakes.
not a happy accident. It's just an accident, and my finger should have been broken, but it was not.
Yeah. But yeah, so they announced that now you get 2 colors, and there's going to be more features later.
Or, well, I mean, it seems also the kind of thing where you could either like expand and add more prompts, or given that it was such a I wonder if they anticipated what a success it was going to be. So then they did a standalone release, didn't they?
It was a part of the Jackbox Party Pack, right?
Yeah, I
right,
believe
and
so.
then there's Jackbox Party Pack 2, right? But then Drawful 2 is not going to be in that. Okay, trying to get my party packs straight. So maybe they initially didn't realize what a success it was going to be. So this one's going to have a lot more scenarios and more bells and whistles, more little kids sound effects. That kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a fun game.
Very serious.
I look forward to Drawful 2. It's one of those games I found out by watching you guys play it.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, they really nailed that good party atmosphere. I think the one that fell flat from that bunch for us was the sound one, where you have to you got like a list of sound effects and you have to compose something that in response to a prompt.
I see.
I forget what the name of that one was.
I would be terrible at that.
Well, it's not like you really the lack of depth in sound effects makes it so it's kind of haha funny a couple times. It's like, oh, it's an old lady falling down the stairs, and then a duck quacks.
Because there was a duck watching and ducks flying.
There's a duck at
That's
the bottom of the
hilarious.
stairs.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to mention before we go is apparently Firewatch has sold 500,000 copies.
Well
And
done to them.
They've shipped 1,000 sets of photos to people.
Wow.
Okay.
Which is
That's not much, actually.
but I mean, I think the photo purchasing option was only available on PC. I played on PC, so I don't know if that
Yeah.
option was available on PS4 or not. Let us know if that was. But it's still quite a bit. And these are people. That's still 1,000 people who finished the game and thought, yes, I want to buy those photos.
I'll buy a picture.
Right, like I did. I took enough good photos during the game that I want to have physical copies of these.
Man, I
had a-
totally forgot about the camera in that. By the end, I took like 3 pictures and then forgot about the camera. I forgot that was the game that could send you pictures too. Got to the end and was like, well, I'm not replaying that to take pictures and get them sent to me. So
Do you think it's
I'm one of the 499,000 that just went, nah. But
thought-
I like the idea. I think
thought
it's a
about
very
it.
good idea.
Do Do you think it was actually 1,000 people that ordered a picture, or was it just one guy that ordered 1,000 pictures? He just really
We'll never know.
It's like I am Picasso of Firewatch.
Well, Picasso was a painter.
Well, I'm working with it. I don't know a famous photographer.
Let's go with Ansel
right?
Adams.
Yeah.
I guess Ansel Adams. Was he
He does
I don't know.
landscape
Was he-
photography,
yeah.
right?
But
Name
it was,
anybody.
I
I
guess
could
I mainly
believe it.
took landscape photos. But
Right. I mean, that's what,
Yeah.
like, you couldn't take anything but landscape photos in Firewatch.
Oh,
It's not like you could take portraits of people.
Right, but you could take like
Could you take
pictures
selfies?
in your like station or
Yeah, it's still life.
stuff like that.
The great photographer Louis Anderson. How about that?
Okay,
Sure.
I'll go
Okay.
with it.
Radical.
Family Feud.
Also, one game that I'm going to recommend you guys play. I think that if you get into OCD stuff, especially, you might like this. It's all building systems. It's called Factorio. Apparently, it's been out for a couple of years at this point, but it just released on Steam last month, like end of last month, and it's like you crash land on a planet all by yourself, and you build systems. You're basically building factories that will like mine resources, harvest them, take them, and like you're eventually like building stuff with them. So it's all about system creation. And I've only just started playing it. I'm already overwhelmed. But it seems like the kind of thing where almost like it's like teaching people the thought process behind programming or something like that, where you start with something really simple and then add on elements and add additional elements and additional elements until you're dealing with something as crazy as in that trailer.
I'm looking at the Steam reviews right now.
It's
10 out
overwhelmingly
of 10
positive.
on Steam right now.
5,484 positive reviews, 54 negative reviews.
Yeah,
That's fucking
insane,
crazy.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it's been going like I've heard nothing but good things about it, probably because of that review ratio. So I had to try it, and while I'm
One of
overwhelmed,
the
I'm
negative-
determined to get over it.
One of the negative reviews says, haha, I fooled you. I actually do recommend the game.
Well, there
He
you
says,
go.
I'm just putting this here to hopefully get some feedback, some attention. That doesn't
Way to go,
make sense,
champ.
but okay.
Good job.
Oh, like probably meaning he hopes the developer will read his negative review because it's a negative review.
But that it's really positive.
Right, I see.
Well played.
I
All right.
see.
Well, we got to go. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.